This episode is brought to you by Global X. Since 2008, Global X ETFs has been committed to empowering investors with unexplored, intelligent solutions. Global X specializes in exchange-traded funds that offer exposure to the artificial intelligence ecosystem, including themes like data centers, robotics, semiconductors, and cloud computing. To learn more about Global X's entire suite of ETFs, from covered calls, fixed income, emerging markets, and more, visit globalxetfs.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
This is Optimal Finance Daily. Why I Budget and Why You Don't Have to, by Kalen Bruce of MoneyMiniBlog.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Now let's get right to today's post and start optimizing your life. Why I Budget and Why You Don't Have to, by Kalen Bruce of MoneyMiniBlog.com. The word budget sparks many different emotions. Some people swear by their budget. Some people swear at their budget. And others swear they had a budget, though they can't seem to remember exactly what's in it or where it's at. You used to be hard-pressed to find a finance book that didn't recommend budgeting, but things have changed. Several finance teachers, like Ramit Sethi and David Chilton, have started to move away from the everyone needs a budget mindset, and for good reason. They focus more on big savings and less on fewer lattes. Today, I'm going to show you both sides. Here's why I swear by my budget and why you don't need one to be financially successful. This is why I budget. I admit it. I don't follow every part of my budget precisely every month. I've fallen off the budget train many times, but I've always hopped back on, and not for the reasons you may think. I don't budget to invest more, save more, or spend less, though it does allow me to do all of those things. I budget for the sake of freedom. I know that I can buy everything in my budget when I spend every cent on paper before the month starts. That means I never feel guilty about spending $50 to $200 a month on myself as a part of my below fund. I don't feel guilty buying a new shirt when I have the clothing fund. I don't feel guilty when I'm eating out because I know my limits according to my budget. Most of all, I never wonder if I spent more than I earned because I spent everything on paper first. I also budget because I recognize that there are 3 costs associated with every purchase, as Rory Vaden points out in his new book, Procrastinate on Purpose. Number 1, actual cost, the amount you actually pay. For example, $3 for a cup of coffee. Number 2, opportunity cost, what you gave up by buying something. Example, $3 invested for retirement. And number 3, hidden cost, the potential return you could have earned. Example, $3 invested over 40 years with an 8% return equals $65.17. I hope that $65 cup of coffee was good. To me, this shows just how important it is to save a few bucks here and there on small things, because small wins can equal big wins when compound interest is involved. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy that cup of coffee. I'm simply saying that your small purchases matter more than you think. I'm a finance nerd, so it's hard to justify not budgeting when I see how much of a difference a $3 purchase can make. But you may feel differently. You may hate budgeting. If so, welcome to the majority. Here's the good news for you. This is why you don't have to budget. You can be very successful without ever setting a budget. How so? By taking care of the important matters first and then spending the rest. Of course, you can't spend money you don't have, or you'll go into debt and you could ruin everything. So if you take this approach, I suggest pulling out your monthly spending cash so that you'll know when you're out of money. You could call this the minimal money management system. You plan enough on the front end that you don't have to worry about the back end. So, what are the important matters? Well, aside from paying off all your debt and having a fully funded emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of living expenses on a bare bones lifestyle, there are a few things that you need to take care of. If you'll set these things to automatically come off the top of your income, you'll be set up for success, and you can freely spend the rest of your money on whatever you want. Yes, you can buy that nice jacket or those yard gnomes you've been eyeing, but once you're out of money for the month, you still have to stop spending. So make sure you can pay for things like food and fuel before you get too attached to those sexy yard gnomes. Here's the foundation that allows you to spend the rest. Make sure you're doing these things first. Number 1, invest 15% for retirement. After your debt is paid off and your emergency fund is fully funded, set up an automatic draft for 15% of your paycheck to go into retirement investing. Number 2, life insurance. Buy the appropriate type and amount of life insurance. Number 3, other insurance. Hold enough health, disability, auto, and home insurance to cover the things that you can't afford to replace, including your health. If you have a lot of assets, consider an umbrella insurance policy. Number 4, create a will. It's important to know what's going to happen after you die. If you have stuff, you need a will. Number 5, save for large purchases. There are always large purchases in the future. You may need a new-to-you car or a down payment for a home. Whatever it is, save an amount every month for this. If you don't need the money for at least 5 years, go with some index funds. If you need it before that, go with bonds or a money market account. The important thing is to save. And number 6, give 10%. This is optional, but I truly believe that giving is the foundation of receiving, and that your finances will never be fully blessed without this piece of the puzzle. Give to your local church or your favorite charity. The important thing isn't where you give, but that you give. If you have all of those areas covered, you'll be financially successful, even without a budget. The bottom line, pay yourself and make sure you're protected first, then spend the rest. I would argue that you'll be more prosperous if you include a budget in your planning, but if it stresses you out and makes you crazy, it's not worth it. After all, budgets aren't for everyone. You just listened to the post titled, Why I Budget and Why You Don't Have to, by Kalen Bruce of MoneyMiniBlog.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Buy low, sell high. It's easy to say, hard to do. For example, high interest rates are crushing the real estate market right now. Demand is dropping and prices are falling, even for many of the best assets. It's no wonder the F.I.R.E flagship fund plans to go on a buying spree, expanding its billion-dollar real estate portfolio over the next few months. You can add the F.I.R.E flagship fund to your portfolio in just minutes and with as little as $10 by visiting fundrise.com/OFD. That's FUNDRISE.com/OFD. Carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the F.I.R.E flagship fund before investing. This and other information can be found in the fund's prospectus at fundrise.com/flagship. This is a paid advertisement. I used to swear by budgeting, and for me, during a specific season of my financial journey, it was 100% necessary. Budgeting is most helpful when you're trying to grow awareness around your spending and be more intentional about telling your money where to go versus wondering where it went. It's very helpful when you're trying to change something about your financial situation. When you want to pay off debt, build up an emergency fund, or reach any kind of financial goal like buying a house or retiring early. Budgeting helped me figure out what kind of spending aligned with my values and where I got the most value out of the money I was spending. But over time, I stopped budgeting. After solidifying the habit of spending well below my means, watching every dollar became a more annoying and less helpful activity. Once I stabilized in my spending habits and got to a financial position where there was a substantial gap between my income and my expenses, budgeting had less utility. I'm no longer pursuing any financial goals. I don't have a need or desire to reduce or monitor my spending closely. And I've enjoyed moving past budgeting. So if you don't like budgeting right now, but it's a necessary part of improving your finances, just know that there will come a day when you can put it down too. And that should do it for another edition of Optimal Finance Daily. I'll be back tomorrow as usual, so I'll see you there for the Wednesday show, where your optimal life awaits.